and the UK's former Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick, thinks it's a good idea to block asylum seekers from working.
Yes, on a trip to the US-Mexico border, Jenrick said he wanted to make the UK less attractive to illegal migrants and stop them plugging workforce gaps. This is ahead of the government's Migration Advisory Committee releasing plans to get asylum seekers working within 6 months.
So the big question of the day is, should asylum seekers be allowed to work? Simple question. Joining us to discuss this is international human rights lawyer David Haigh and immigration lawyer Harjap Singh Bhangal. The debate of the two lawyers, fantastic stuff. David, let's start with you. I'm not sure actually what your view is on this, but we'll find out. Should asylum seekers be allowed to work in this country, or would that encourage more people to illegally come to this country?
Good afternoon to you both. I think the first thing to look at is that if we had a proper immigration system in the first place and we were processing asylum seekers in a couple of weeks, we wouldn't need to have this debate, because asylum seekers would come in, and if they were granted it, that would be done quickly, and if not, they would be sent away. That's the first thing that the government really should be focusing on, rather than whether people should work or shouldn't work. Now, the reality is, of course, we've got an awful lot of asylum seekers here on waiting lists for years. Now, at the moment, if there's a shortage occupation and they've been here 12 months through no fault of their own, there is a system whereby asylum seekers can work. That's what we have at the moment. Now, that was strengthened because I think it was about 20 or so years ago. It was a lot less in terms of time. So it's a very complex debate, I think, Emily, because I think we've got to look at what what we are trying to achieve as a country. Are we trying to offer a deterrent to people coming here, and saying people cannot work, is that going to be a deterrent? Is it already deterring people? Or when I think it was Scotland in about December did a study on whether or not they should change these laws, and they found that it would bring more money to the Scottish economy by allowing asylum seekers to work and integrate into the country quicker. So I think it's a really, I would say in yes, but with very strict systems around it.
Well, there we go. Let's throw that right over to Harjap Singh Bhangal. We're wasting money. People are just sitting there as unproductive people. It's costing us £8 million a day. Why shouldn't they work?
No, they should be allowed to work. I think they should be allowed to work from day one. Why should we as a taxpayer have to put them up in hotels when in fact they can work and they're willing to work and pay rent? And some of them, we're not saying all of them, some of them just might get into these shortage occupations and fulfill the skills gap that we have. The fact is, the government, like our guest said, the system is flawed. If you're going to make these asylum seekers wait 2 years for a decision, how do you expect them to feed themselves, to house themselves? The burden falls upon us. Now,
yes, but where's the deterrent, though? And where's the... So, ideally, we want people to apply for a visa, apply through legal ways to become a citizen of this country, to be granted asylum or to be granted a work permit. Aren't we essentially encouraging illegal behaviour, and won't allowing more and more asylum seekers to work while their claims are being processed actually encourage more people to take that treacherous journey over here?
The deterrent is reintroducing a fast-track system like we used to have in 2002 and 2003. I used to be on the Harmondsworth fast-track scheme, where cases would be decided in 15 days. And someone could potentially be sent back after being refused after 20 days. It didn't take a year.
But that wasn't what I was asking, Harjap. I was asking about...
That is a deterrent. If somebody knows their claim is going to be finished in 20 days and they won't be allowed to work, and they could be on a plane on the 25th day, that's a deterrent. The deterrent announced yesterday by the government that they're going to pay TikTokers to say, please don't come to the UK, please, because Priya in Delhi or Marco in Albania has told them to, is absolutely ludicrous. With that money, $500,000 potentially being spent, we could have opened a processing centre in France, which would discourage families from making the trip across the channel. There's no safe routes. There's no actually, sort of Rwanda isn't a deterrent. We know that because there's not enough spaces there. The gangs are laughing. And the gangs are operating here and there. I mean, I remember last week, was it, you did a news item where someone was trying to get out of the UK. He's living under a boat and he's trying to get out. And the gangs wanted £1,800 off him to smuggle him out. So the gangs are operating both ways. Until you catch the gangs, There will never be a deterrent.
OK, Harjap, let's throw this back to David now. David, presumably you'd think that there should be more qualifications than just day one, arrive here, illegally start working.
Yeah, I would fundamentally disagree. I don't think that we should allow someone coming across the channel on day one to walk straight into a job. I think that is something that shouldn't be permitted. And I think perhaps, when the whole area needs to be reviewed. And one of the things that we could look at is people that are claiming asylum and are here lawfully, and they do exist, and people that are coming illegally across the channel, and whether we want to try and draw a distinction between the people that are here lawfully, claim asylum, and then the people that come unlawfully and illegally and claim asylum. But something, I think if we allow the system where if you come across on a boat and you can work, I think that is a big problem. I also think it's a problem from human rights as well, because what you will get people smugglers and forced labour gangs bringing people in, knowing that the minute that they land on these shores, they can work. And that's a problem. But I think it's a very complex area because, of course, from a tax, when we're looking at how much it's costing us to house people and paying them and paying for the housing, if we could be actually having those people generate tax and income and not having the burden on the state. So I think we could all sit here for hours and have this debate and look at studies and whether it's effective or it's not.
I think most people would prefer that the government manage to control our borders first and foremost. But Harjap, just lastly, Robert Jenrick, he said the global asylum system has become a backdoor to the labour market for economic migrants who are in search of better prospects but not in fear of their life. He's right, isn't he?
Well, the fact is, do we need unskilled labour in this country? If you ask businesses, they will say yes. So is there a way for them to have unskilled labour after the end of free movement of workers? Possibly not. All the visa schemes that are geared up towards highly skilled people, to investors, people with money, or where we've got specific shortages such as care workers. Even they can't bring their family over now from March the 11th. And the wages have gone up to about 40,000, the requirements to come over on a work permit. So the fact is, are we going to listen to businesses and their needs, or are we going to say, actually, no, we're going to train the British people up to do these unskilled jobs? Because we've had 7 or 8 years to do that post-Brexit, and it doesn't seem to be working. These vacancies still exist. The British people aren't going out and filling them. We can't train our own for some reason. And, it does seem that many British people do not want to do these jobs that migrants do. And for example, when we walk into any building in London, the security guards will be migrants. The cleaners will be migrants. Even the makeup people who do my makeup at news channels are migrants.
Yeah.
Now, why can't British people do these jobs?
And we've got a huge amount of people who are on long-term sickness, long-term benefits, who are out of work entirely, aren't seeking work and so on. Thank you very much. That was a great debate. Harjap Singh Bhangal, immigration lawyer, and David Haigh, who is an international human rights lawyer.